I happen to like the texture on paper of napkins. So what I'm trying to do now is I'm ironing one of the thin, I hope that's not a hole, I'll have to check that in a minute, one of the thin sheets of napkin that come off of, you know, when you're using a napkin, applying a napkin. I've tried this before with paper napkins. Now what I'm trying to do is, I need to get this light out of my way here, is to see if I can't print through my printer my own version of a napkin. Some image that I might want to print on and look like a napkin. So I am ironing this plain white backing from paper napkins, but more importantly, and these are just I think thin spots, or maybe I don't know what they are. It could be wax. You know, I use this felt mat for many different paper crafting experiences, and I may have gotten a little bit of wax on it that's come through. I really can't tell. All I know it's well, if it's picking up the wax, that'd be a good thing. Get rid of it. Okay, so what I've done is I've taken regular copy paper and applied, I'm not sure you'll see it, the sheen on this is a thin coat of Mod Podge. It's actually Mod Podge mixed with glue-all, Elmer's glue-all, and a little bit of water. Okay, and I use a sponge brush and apply a thin coat, although I'm feeling it with my thumb here and it feels a little thin, so I don't know what's going to happen there. So what I'm going to do is iron this napkin, and it will adhere pretty nicely, as all other napkins have, to the Mod Podge surface. Maybe I'll turn it sideways. And then I'm going to push it through my printer, find a suitable image that I want to have this kind of feel, this texture that the paper napkin gives you. I should just take that dark spot. I don't know what that one is. Let me see what that is. Anyway, took that off anyway because I would like it to be pristine. So here's my iron, and I just apply heat. Susan Taylor Brown showed me how to do this, and Mod Podge is, look, you know, people worry about getting napkins wrinkled. Well, this method is the easiest one I've used. I've used the saran wrap, and that's a bit of a nuisance, to tell you the truth, for me. It works, but I have trouble getting that saran wrap where it needs to be. And this Mod Podge coated paper, it almost turns the paper into something heavier, like not cardstock, but maybe a light cardstock. Anyway, it is adhered, except for maybe a spot or two. I think I'll just iron that again and see what happens. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Yep. So now I will shut this off and merge this with see, I'll cut it off. See, it's adhered nicely. Of course, if I do it from the back, which I might do as well. Usually I put parchment paper over it, but I didn't in this case. So now all I'll do is take the scissors and cut it out, and then put it in my printer and come up with some kind of really fun design that I can have the soft texture of the napkin. So that's it for this. Well, another thing I've done today, and something I have been wanting to do, I save coffee filters both the white unused ones and the used coffee colored ones. And I've done various things with them, like colored them. That's my printer in the background, so hopefully it's not going to be a bother with this video. Anyway, I'll tell you what I've done is I've wanted to print on it using my printer, and I have successfully figured out something that does work. In fact, this has just been printed, and this design has just been printed, and obviously something has been torn, which is what's now on this folder I've made, this pocket folder. It had a sort of a big blank spot there with some green and didn't have much. This I have added, so a cluster of things to include crepe paper, lace, and book text, and a button. And by the way, I just crumbled up some crepe paper with a little bit of glue and stuck it in the middle. Anyway, I did need something for this area, and since there's a lot of that paper colored look there, I thought, well, I needed something, so that's what I did, and that's what came off of this sheet. And I have since done another one, which these lovely ladies will be put on tags or whatever. And there's that same bird house that printed out very nicely. So what I did to enable myself to print on it is I have a sheet, which is this sheet here, and I'm going to pause it to let you know what this is. Hold on. Okay, what it is Avery 6465, I guess, I don't know, 8.5 by 11, 25 labels, 25 sheets, removable ID labels. There are other brands. I thought about using, I think, online labeling. I buy a lot from them, but I didn't need very many because I'm using it mostly as removable masking, so I don't need a lot of it. Anyway, that's what I used. Now, it comes like this, and these sheets are, let's see, you can't see it now, but when you try to remove this, when you try to remove the backing, it splits. I can hardly see it when it does it, but when you remove this backing, it has like razor blade splits in it. It doesn't come out as one sheet. Now I can't really see where those splits are now, but they're sort of like crisscrossed or something. So first thing I did is I pulled it all off and realized that I couldn't reuse the backing, which is what I wanted to do for another project. So this one doesn't feel, I cannot feel any of the slash marks, but I haven't tried removing it. So anyway, at any rate, it's a removable adhesive sheet. So that's what this is. And what I did was place the coffee filter. Well, first of all, I used the okay, here's the label paper that came off. Actually, I think this is not label paper. This is actually freezer paper that I coated it with because the original sheet didn't work on this. So what I did is I ended up putting the coffee filter there and noting as close as possible on my computer the alignment. And I get it pretty close. So as you can see, I got most of these in. As you can see, the previous version I got a little bit out. So I have adjusted for that. And then I just put a little tape at the top just to be on the safe side and run it through, of course, this side down in my computer, and just print. And it did a very nice job. So, but now I want to use this again. I just take this piece of, I cut it out. I thought I was doing, I did the pencil mark on the other side thinking this was the side until I realized it was wrong. So this was the side that has the freezer paper on it. And I can just remove it, put another coffee filter in. I already have the alignment on my Silhouette Studio file for the various printings. And all I have to do is come up with something else I want to print on them, rip this off, put a coffee filter in here, design it on Silhouette Studio, and put it face down into my printer, and voila, I get this. And I know I can use these. In fact, here's some pieces left from that original one. I really, really, really like it. So it gives me that coffee filter thin transparency, not totally transparent paper. And it would look different on different paper, I'm sure, like different colors. It doesn't exactly see through, but it gives that aged look. You can see somewhat through it. See, the design comes through a little bit. So it's quite useful. And what I had done is I used Silhouette Studio to create tags. This one, something went wrong with my printer. So I create my own tags. I use a little bit of this design that I created, and then this design, which is a little Victorian keyhole, but I only wanted part of it in the background and made it gray. And then this gal here I got off of some ephemera that I bought, and then isolated her and removed her from the frame, so she had no background. That way I can plunk her down on everything. And then I could also improve the quality. See, she's pretty darn good. Anyway, this is a note to myself about what I did and how I did it. If it helps anybody else, that's great. These things are mostly that a year from now, if I run across this and say, now how did I do that? I will be able to look at my videos and know exactly how I did it. So this is pretty nice. So that's what I learned today. In addition to printing on tissue paper, actually printing on the thin paper that I remove from napkins when I use the napkins for other projects. And the first part of that video, I just coated a piece of copy paper with a very thin coat of Mod Podge combined with Elmer's glue all and water, almost half and half of the Mod Podge and the glue all, and then a little bit of water, and let it dry on the paper. And then I ironed the thin white backing of one of the, say, 3-ply. I found one that had like no ink on it, and I ironed it to a 8.5 by 11 piece of paper that had dried Mod Podge on it. Anyway, now it's in my printer. I found a design I wanted to print. I kind of like the texture. You know, when you run your hand across that napkin, it really does feel pretty good. And I've done some things with the napkins. For example, here's one where I actually used a napkin. I used the same method. I coated, in this case, it might have been cardstock. I can't remember, although I'm thinking it was just paper. I have this buff-colored paper as opposed to white coffee paper, which I think this is it here. Yeah. And I just coated one side of it. This is a one-sheet pocket. I love making these. I haven't finished this one yet. I need to glue down the sides, and I think it's pretty much finished unless I'm going to put a closure on it. But anyway, this was a napkin that got adhered. You see, no wrinkles. It's almost perfect. And this was one 8.5 by 11 sheet. And I Mod Podged this off-white buff-colored paper, and then ironed the napkin on there. And where I learned how to do these cute little folios, let me see, I learned it from, I think, Shabbydabbydoodah. Yeah, I think I did. And she learned it from somebody else. So, you know, nothing we do is really original anymore. At any rate, what I like about it is it takes only one 8.5 by 11 sheet. You just fold a sheet. In this case, I've already sewn it. You fold the sheet print side down, and you fold it to reveal the print, and you go as far down as you want to go, depending on how big you want your little. You could go even more and make them a little bit taller. But this seems to work for me about this size. And then you bring up this side. And then, so you got this sheet like that. And then you fold it in half and you have the folio. Anyway, I really like making these because you don't have to use double-sided paper. And they are very handy. And I've discovered that depending on the size I end up making, I can leave this side open, which I believe I've done on these two. Yeah. So I have a pocket here. A pocket here, and then when you open it up, I'll glue these sides down, and I have two pockets here. And what I did is I think I ran a bit of glue on one of them, like right half mark, but I think I'd be better off, well, if I sewed it, it would be too visible, interfere with the thing. So anyway, I can almost get two tags, one this way, one this way. So let's see if I can find a tag that I did that with just today. Hold on. Yes, in fact, it's still the same one that I haven't finished with. I haven't glued down these little sides, which I will do. So, and this side here, and I think this side here, I've prepped with using glue so that I have two compartments. Let me see if I can make this work again. But it will only take a certain side. These tags that I made. Let's see if I can, whoops, off camera. It's a lot easier. Yeah, slide one of them in here. Now the trick is to get tags that will fit. And I haven't quite got that down yet. I may have to make this one a little bit smaller or find some other way to adhere it. But anyway, I have two places I could put tags. One here and one here, and then the tags in the front, whatever I need to do. So I think I managed to get this one better. Let me see if off camera if I can slide it in. Yeah, there we go. And it fits really cute with this edge, and I could even decorate that. And then I could have another one. Let me look out of the camera so I can get it in there, otherwise I'll be here all day. Yeah, so there, and it gets another one, so I can get two tags in there, two in the back, and then another, some more ephemera, whatever things I want to tuck into here. So I think I ran a tiny bead of glue down the center, and I had to trim these cards from either side so that they would fit. If I don't do that, I'm not exactly sure if I want to have stitching. A single line of stitching would probably be better, but I'm not sure I want it to show, so I'll have to play with that idea a little bit more to see what it is I want to do. Anyway, I'm pretty happy. I love making these, and I have a whole big stack of them because they take one sheet. And let me show you. Let's see if I can remember. I think, oh dear, what's the name of her name again? Her papers work especially nicely with this because they're already patchworked. Let me see. See these? Aren't they gorgeous? Look. They're beautiful. This is before I've done a single thing to it. This one here, I think I added this little decorative edge because it needed something to set it apart. But you need to give it some thought with regard to which side you're going to want to see. And it's a bit of a brain twister when you do that. For me, it is anyway, because I can't always... This is the pocket, see in here, and I haven't glued it down, and I sewn all around it to include the middle. I sew it before I fold. After I put the creases in, then I open it back up and sew the parts that I want sewn. So I can actually have this open, this, complete straight sewing all the way through. And then I go back and then I sew this part in the middle and across here, which is the fold line. Yeah. But these are really sweet. They have pockets everywhere. I think maybe I'll just keep this open and put something bigger in there instead of 2 tags. Maybe that's the answer. But her papers, now I'm trying to think of, I just got them yesterday too. You think I could remember? Something journal. Anyway, I love them for this because they are just so beautiful. This is like even before you've done anything to them. They're absolutely gorgeous. Look. And they seem to be made for this particular technique. I think they are absolutely beautiful. These are all things that I can stick in there. And I made all these tags. But look, it's just, they're just already decorated. And they are beautiful. This one here, I still haven't glued the side. Sometimes I round the corners as well. But look at the patterns. They're a nouveau, I think. Let me see if I can think of it. I haven't made all of them yet. This is a different paper, which I absolutely love as well. But let me see. I'm going to pause this so I can add the reference. But I love these papers. I just love them. They are absolutely perfect for this because of the way they're designed. This was 1 sheet of paper. Believe it or not, 1 sheet of paper in each case. Now this was different. This was the first one I made, and it's a little on the thin side. It's very thin paper. This might be G. Carr's paper, one of her freebies, I think. Hold on, and I'll get you the name of these because they are just gorgeous and they print up beautifully. Okay, it's tailor-made journals. Yes. Now, this one is not one of the tailor-mades, but I even doubled it up, by the way. This one here I made 2 and then sewed them together. So they're like a little booklet. And then I put the pocket on the outside instead of the inside. So this one has a pocket on the outside. Let's see if I can do it without, yeah. Pocket on the outside, no pocket, except, of course, the one in the side here. I haven't put any other ephemera on them, decorated them, especially the pocket in between. Of course, I have those. Then this has a pocket here and one here, and again, another side pocket that you can put something in, and this one is a pocket on the outside. And, of course, we'll have pockets here. So this is just a little booklet. So, and then this is another one I made out of card that had, and again, same thing. 1 sheet folded down to about, in this case, I folded it way down. But you could really stop halfway between whatever size pocket you want here. And I haven't sewn this one. And I just have distressed the edges. And this is not the same paper, but this one is here. The ones, this is another one of hand, oh, I've already forgotten what I just looked up. Not good. But her papers are just absolutely made for this. They seem to be made for this. And this one here, the pocket is on the outside. It doesn't really matter. You can make it any way you want. I may have to put a little pocket in here that I just add. Yeah, I think I will, to break up this expansive design. Add maybe some lace or something that would create a pocket or a belly band. Something like that. But anyway, these are absolutely easy and they're addictive. If you find the right paper They are totally addictive to make because they're so simple. And when you have a paper that creates the elements for you like these, it makes it fun. Now, there is a challenge. A lot of our papers are in portrait mode. And frankly, my brain has a very hard time trying to figure out how to design them. I actually have to think before I print them out, how I want to edit them or change them based on what I want showing. It probably doesn't really matter because you can't make an ugly one, that's for sure, especially with tailor-made journals. What did I say it was? Her name is, Tailor-Made Journals. And this is one of her kits. I think it's called Nouveau something. I think she has 2 versions of it, maybe Nouveau 1 and Nouveau 2. And I bought both of them. And they print up beautifully. The quality is excellent. But these papers lend themselves really well to this little technique. So I'm having fun making these, and now I'm waiting for the one I'm printing on napkin material. My own. We'll see how that turns out. Okay, I have printed on the tissue paper that I had adhered to the copy paper. And yes, this is another one of tailor-made journal, either the Nouveau Gardens 1 or 2. I forget because I have both of them. Now, I haven't printed this one out on regular copy paper, but there's just something about the feel of this that feels pretty good. It's just different than regular paper. It has a little bit more body because of the Mod Podge on there. It's not as flimsy and as thin. It's not quite like cardstock. But the reason I love these patterns is the one sheet pocket that I'm going to make real quickly right now. I have to remember which side I want. Okay, I could make it like this, and then I'd cover this up with this. Okay, that would be the pocket. But I think I'm going to do the reverse. You only have 2 choices, and that is, I think I like this one better. So I think I'll leave a little bit of that showing. And the key of this is to get it perfectly straight across, like so. And then I'm going to bring it down, hopefully. Then bring this up. Oh, it works out. See how these work? That's why these papers are so wonderful. I mean, really, they've got the designs just built right in, don't they? So now there's the beginning of it. So, but look at how pretty this is already. So even without decorating it. And then, of course, now this is on the bottom, so it can't be on the top. So you really don't have a whole lot of choice. You can think about it, but this happens to be exactly the way I wanted it. So I've got this. Let me see if I can get right on top of it. Pretty darn close. Yeah, pretty close. You can trim it. Okay, again. Now, is that the prettiest booklet you ever want to see? And these papers, this sort of patchwork paper, especially with the small strips at the bottom, work out just beautifully. Now, as I mentioned before, now I would distress the edges, maybe even round the corners. I've done that on a few of them. But you're going to have, if you want, a pocket here, a pocket here when you glue this down, a pocket here, and of course a last pocket there, which is quite a bit for one sheet of paper, you have to admit. Plus, you don't have to worry that it's not double-sided. And just look how beautiful it showcases these gorgeous designs, tailor-made journals. You just can't, and each one of them are just so deliciously, beautifully done. Now the back is plain. Well, it just picked up one part of the pattern, which I don't really mind. I could put a card. I could even add additional pocket there if I wanted. I mean, there's just so much you can do with them. And they end up being like a 4x4. Maybe, it depends, the size, frankly, depends on how far you bring it down. You don't have to bring it as far down as I did. You could just bring it like another 1/2 inch above, and it wouldn't have made that taller. But then this piece wouldn't have been on the inside as much. You know, would have cut it off like maybe over here, which wouldn't have been bad. So anyway, that's what I've been doing with these. I have so many. They're just, and this one feels nice because it has the tissue paper. I know you can't see it. I can feel it though. And it just feels different. And it actually adds a little more body to the paper. It's not quite like cardstock, but actually it's actually the best. I've tried them with cardstock and they're frankly a little more difficult to fold. You can make them. They're too stiff though, and a little bit too stiff. Thin paper without this treatment is a little too thin. It seems to me that when I add the Mod Podge, add a piece of tissue paper from the napkins that I've used, and in this case here, I think I'm going to refold this edge here, make it match up a little better. It's just perfect. It's the perfect weight. So, I mean, if you don't happen to have the paper on hand, you got a little Mod Podge. And of course, I could trim it. I could trim this little edge off anyway, which I might do. But that's it. That's how it worked. And I am loving these. Okay, this is just one more. The little thing I did is I rounded off the corners with my corner rounder. And I did all 4 corners, and then I did this corner and this corner. Now, if I were to sew these, honestly, can hardly see the sewing. I'm not sure I really need to bother because they're so decorative the way they are. But if you do have the need to sew, you can actually sew. You wouldn't sew the part that goes down here. There's no point in doing that. So you would turn it around and sew all the way around. And then across here, and then back. Okay, then you would fold it. And then you would fold it here and possibly sew this piece. And now remember, this is going to have a sewing here. So you could sew, you wouldn't have sew here, so you would sew. It would have, you need to go around the corner, and I did that with some. And then all the way, and then you bring it back and sew across here all the way, and then you'd sew down the middle, put this up, sew it down the middle, and then you could turn it around and sew it, connect the sewing here and all the way across. That's it. If you wanted to sew, I think I did one. I did a couple of them like that. Can you see it? Yeah, this one here has a pocket on the outside, and I think I sewed. So I missed the center for sure. And this one has a pocket on the outside. This one has a sewing as well. So that's how they go. This one here, I'm not going to bother. And this is what the one, I told you I just made this one with copy paper, Mod Podge, thin coat, put a thin coat of tissue on it from old napkins that you've used, saving the white sheets that you don't have to throw away. And this one's made from cardstock. And I had printed it on both sides, I believe. Yeah, I did. Printed this on both sides. Only one side is going to be visible, however. And so I've made it, but it's a little bit, it's quite sturdy, actually. It's very, very sturdy. A little bit more of a problem. I probably need a closure on these because they want to pop open, whereas these lay much flatter. Of course, once you start putting stuff in the pockets, maybe not. But anyway, there's and they're different sizes because even though I start with 11 8 by, actually this one I had cut off a piece to use somewhere else, so I did not, and so I trimmed it out so that it was a smaller than 8.5 by 11. That's why this is such a smaller size. But most of them end up being about the same size. Let's see, there's one sitting here. And when I make them, they come fairly close. You could make them very precise. You could have exactly where you want to bring it down. But I tend to look at the pattern and see what bit I want to show in the pocket. Maybe that's what I do. Can't say that I'm always going for that, because maybe I should have stopped here. But I kind of like that little bit of that yellow orangey color. Anyway, it doesn't really matter because they're going to be beautiful no matter how you make them. So, all right. I love the feel of this, and I like the weight of it. So it takes a little bit more trouble because you have to put the Mod Podge down on a piece of paper. I'm going to do a video of that just to show you how I do it, because I've made it as easy as possible. But it is a little messy because you've got to go wash your hands as soon as you're done. Or put gloves on. Yep, which I always forget to do. You could do that too. But then again, you're going to have dirty gloves. So you can throw them away, but I tend not to want to do that. If you look around my room, you can see I keep everything. Way too much. So I think that's the only part I would miss, is showing you how to. The other thing you could do is color the inside a little bit. You know, maybe distress it, or maybe a pale shade of blue. I might do that yet. I don't know. But I just absolutely love these. So I'm going to make lots more. They're a nice size too. I mean, really, you can do some fun things with these. Looks like sailboats here, but it's certainly not. Very Art Nouveau. Nouveau Gardens by Tailor-Made Journals. Those are the kits I bought too. And they are gorgeous papers. And they lend themselves to this treatment especially. They're probably good for near everything, because I can see my using these just to cut off pieces that I use on other things. Tags or whatever. Just look at how many different designs are in there. And it appeals to me greatly. Yep, it does. And each one has some interesting patterns. And with my Cameo Silhouette software, there's a little setting I can use to get more bang for my buck, because I can change the colors of these. Now, it doesn't change them always as beautifully as this. And sometimes I like them. It's a slider bar on my software, and it goes from these colors to their opposites. So you would, on either side of the bar. But sometimes you come up with some really interesting combinations. And so there you have it. It's hard to beat these. It really is. It's one of my favorite things. And I really do like putting the tissue on there, or the napkin tissue. All right. I've been babbling long enough. More later.